The greatest civilization on earth vanished in a single generation. While Rome crumbled slowly, India's golden age was butchered by horsemen who left nothing but ashes. This is the extinction they erased from history. 5th century India was a miracle. The Gupta emperors had built something Rome never achieved, a civilization where science and art flourished equally. Aryabhata calculated Earth's circumference with stunning accuracy. Surgeons performed cataract operations. Universities drew scholars from China to Persia. The decimal system that powers your phone right now. Born here. Gold coins flowed like water through markets stretching from the Himalayas to the southern seas. But here's what historians rarely mention. This paradise had a fatal weakness. And somewhere beyond the Hindu Kush mountains, an enemy was watching. An enemy so brutal that even Attila's Huns feared them. What happened next would haunt India for 1,000 years. The White Huns emerged from Central Asia like a nightmare given flesh. Unlike their cousins who terrorized Europe, these Hephthalites had developed something far more terrifying, a culture built entirely around destruction. They didn't want tribute. They didn't want vassals. They wanted extinction. Their warriors bound their infant skulls with wooden boards, creating elongated heads that struck terror into enemies. They practiced skull-taking as religious ritual. But their true advantage wasn't psychological, it was technological. The Hephthalites had perfected the stirrup centuries before Europe discovered it. This simple innovation transformed cavalry warfare forever. A mounted archer could now fire backward at full gallop without falling. And India's infantry-heavy armies had never faced anything like it. If you're realizing how this changes everything, drop a like, because the worst is still coming. Now imagine your Emperor Skandagupta in 455. Reports arrive of smoke rising from frontier towns. Refugees speak of horsemen who move faster than messengers. Your father's empire stretches across the subcontinent, wealthy, cultured, seemingly invincible. But you've heard whispers of what happened when these same riders crossed into Persia. The mighty Sassanid Empire nearly collapsed. Their Shah was captured and humiliated. And now these horsemen have turned east. Toward you. Skandagupta gathered the largest army India had ever assembled. War elephants draped in iron armor. Chariots with scythed wheels. Thousands of professional soldiers who had never known defeat. The two forces met somewhere in the northwest passes. And against all odds, Skandagupta won. The Huns retreated. India exhaled. But here's where it gets strange. This victory should have saved everything. Instead, it planted the seeds of total destruction. The campaign against the Huns bankrupted the treasury. Think about that for a second. Skandagupta saved his empire, but the cost of saving it would doom everything his ancestors built. Gold reserves vanished. Trade routes closed. The army couldn't be maintained at full strength. Worse, Skandagupta's heirs proved catastrophically weak. Within 30 years of his death, the empire fragmented into squabbling successor states. Each prince claimed legitimacy. None could command the unified force that had stopped the Huns. And the Huns hadn't forgotten their humiliation. Across the mountains, a new generation of Hephthalite warriors was growing up hearing stories of the riches beyond the Hindu Kush. They trained their sons in mounted archery from age 5. They accumulated horses by the thousands. They waited. And in 490, they returned. But this time, there was no Skandagupta to stop them. But that's not even the worst part. What I'm about to describe makes the initial invasion look merciful. The Hun king Toramana swept through northern India like a forest fire. City after city fell. But it was his son Mihirakula who became the living nightmare. Ancient texts call him the most cruel man who ever lived. That's not exaggeration, that's terrified witnesses. Recording history. Mihirakula didn't just conquer. He systematically dismantled everything that made Gupta civilization great. He burned Nalanda's libraries, centuries of accumulated knowledge, gone in hours. He melted temple gold into Hun ingots. He slaughtered Buddhist monks by the thousands, not for religion, but because educated people organize resistance. What would you have done? If you've made it this far, subscribe now, because what happened to the survivors is even more devastating. The scale of destruction defies comprehension. Archaeologists estimate 90% of Gupta-era monuments were destroyed. Not damaged, obliterated. Urban populations collapsed by over half within a generation. Trade networks that had connected India to Rome and China simply ceased to exist. And here's where it gets truly dark. The knowledge loss was catastrophic. Medical texts describing surgical techniques wouldn't be rediscovered for 1,000 years. Astronomical calculations were forgotten. The decimal system survived only because it had already spread to Arabia. Entire philosophical traditions vanished. Languages died. And then it got worse. The Hun occupation lasted nearly a century. 3 generations of Indians grew up knowing nothing but brutality. The very concept of United Indian Empire became a distant legend. Drop your prediction in the comments. Do you think India ever recovered? I want you to remember this part. Around 528, something remarkable happened. A local king named Yashodharman did what seemed impossible. He defeated Mihirakula in open battle. The Hun Empire in India collapsed almost overnight. But here's the devastating truth nobody talks about. The Guptas were already gone. Their bloodline had ended. Their administrative systems had been destroyed. Their cities lay in ruins. Victory over the Huns couldn't resurrect what had been systematically erased. India would fragment into hundreds of small kingdoms for centuries. The unity that created the Golden Age would never fully return. And this is why the Gupta collapse matters more than Rome's. Rome fell slowly, preserving much of its culture. The Guptas were exterminated so completely that modern Indians barely know their names. This wasn't just conquest. It was civilizational murder. So what does this mean for understanding history? The Gupta extinction reveals an uncomfortable truth. Civilizations don't always decline gracefully. Sometimes they're simply erased. The Huns didn't want to rule India, they wanted to consume it. And they succeeded so completely that the Golden Age became a ghost story. Today, fragments remain. A few